My name's Chris Smith. I run global operations for MetLife. So we're designing what we call model offices. And the model office is the gold standard for each of these different capabilities. It's kind of like, think about like a blueprint for a house. Before you go out and start building a house, you have to have a blueprint of what it's going to look like. Otherwise, you're just going to have a lot of 2x4s hammered together, and it's going to be a mess and probably fall down. So we worked with our associates, our experts around the world, and we designed what we thought these gold standards, these model offices would look like. And then we are now piloting. So we designed it, took 6 months to design it, and with our experts around the world, now we're piloting it in different locations. So we're doing claims in 2 countries, we're doing new business and underwriting in the 3rd country, we're doing contact centers in 2 countries in Asia, we're doing billing and remittance in the US. So really looking at how do you take the design, pilot in a local country, really to see is how much can be standard, then what do you actually have to make specific to the market, because there will be some cultural differences, there will be different ways customers want to interact with you. And then once you design you have the pilot in place and you prove it out, then we start to scale it across the rest of the company. We are starting to track the key metrics around whether it's average handle time or call abandonment, how the call center agents are using their time, how much work is on the phone versus after call work, and really starting to change that. We're looking at technology in different ways to reduce calls into the call center, because customers these days, they really want to deal with whether an insurance company or any company differently. So we started to look at how do you automate the process, and we were dealing, I think, with 5 different countries. They had different processes for basically the same thing. So what we first wanted to do was how do we standardize the process? So we standardized the process in one market, and then we took it to the other markets, and then we automated it. And what's great about doing that is you can create a better customer experience, because your turnaround time, you can actually process work faster for the customer. You automate it so you create capacity for growth in the company. And then because you're designing it once and then implementing it in multiple markets, the cost for execution gets cheaper, because you're not going and doing the same thing differently in 5 different markets. You're taking one, you're spreading it across, and the actual implementation cost comes down fairly significantly. Technology is going to be crucial for our transformation of operations at MetLife, and in a couple different ways. And you have to make sure you don't upset the business as usual as you're doing transformation work. So that's why change management is important, to help people see why the change is happening and how they're going to be a part of it. But then create another group in the organization called Process Excellence, which is doing a lot of the transformations. So it took responsibility for doing a lot of the work out of the BAU groups and in this horizontal group that goes across the whole organization, and they can manage those projects and processes for me. So right now we have 2 shared service sites in India. And they both support predominantly the U.S. business and corporate functions. In our other markets, we really haven't looked at shared service centers yet, and I think there might be opportunities to leverage that. And one of the early things we did actually in our design session was looked at what can be outsourced and what should stay in. What do we really have to be good at? That's so important to the customer, we can't let it go. And what can be outsourced. And contact centers, we actually have a mix. So we have, in the markets I'm responsible for, we have contact centers we manage ourselves, and we have 2 of our larger markets that we outsource to third parties. So it is a mix. It depends on what's right for the market, what's right for the customer, how do you want to, and so as I said, everything's on the table. We have to look at how do you meet those 2 needs of creating increasing operating leverage and getting a better customer experience. They're not mutually exclusive, so you have to look at sourcing, whether it's through our captive or through a third party, through those lenses as well. We go back to MetLife's strategy, which was launched in 2012. One of the main cornerstones of that strategy for the whole company is to drive customer centricity. And we've been going down this journey for a few years. How do we become much more of a customer-centric organization? And if you think about insurance, customers sometimes think insurance can be very hard to do business with. So how can we take it from a customer's point of view, away from a product point of view or a sales channel point of view, really looking at how a customer wants to do business with us. So we have to consider that in all of the work that we're doing, because it is around. It's not just about becoming a much more efficient organization. It's how do you use service as a differentiator for our customer and really understanding what they value. So there's a Professor Fry from Harvard Business School written a great book called Uncommon Service. And in the book, she talks about when you're looking at from a service or any perspective of a company, you have to know what you want to be really great at and what you want to be intentionally bad at. You have to look at all your capabilities and rank them from 1 to 5. 5 being best, 1 being bad. She said, and I agree, you can't afford to be 5 in everything. If you're 3 in everything, you're going to be mediocre. So you really have to say, this is where I really want to invest, where my customers are going to value this great experience and invest heavily in that. But that means you're not going to be able to afford to do everything. So it's really about making those hard decisions as a company.